Welcome along to South Today Sport. Lots of positive news coming out of Rugby Southland in recent weeks around the club scene and around some key appointments within the organisation. The top man in that organisation, Brian Hopley, joins me in studio. Good evening, Brian. Welcome along.
Good evening, Tom. Thank you.
We started with the club forum last night in fact, where you briefed the club community on those changes, and I thought positive vibes.
I think it's very positive. We've put a lot of emphasis in community rugby, and that's what we advised the club forum last night, is the new appointments that we've made are directly related to providing services to community rugby.
The Council of Club Rugby have approved this new format, which is a stepping stone. We had a review last year, we know, of the club structure, and some of the initiatives have been introduced for 2013. And we'll start with Division 1, for instance. 4 new teams, a 12-team competition, crossover, everyone plays everyone. Looks to be an exciting competition.
I think it will be a very exciting competition. As you said, there's 4 new teams coming in, and they're put into 2 pools, and they'll play each other, and then they'll cross over and play the other pool, which is great. And we end up with the finals, and it works within the period of time that we need to, and finishing the competition at the right time. So I think it's a real positive.
Yes, some of those recommendations included teams like to play everyone within their own competition. Right. Obviously, there's some old rivalries. They pay for cups and trophies and things, so they've been reignited. So that's good news. It's
very good news, and you're right. There's that traditional rivalry, and there's cups available for those games, and I think it'll be a very, very good competition. There's also some of those teams are looking to step up in the future to the Premier Division, which we hope will happen. So the clubs will assess that themselves, and that's the opportunity they have, but we're looking forward to that.
Yes, and a strong Division 1 competition is a good, as I say, interim path to that Premier. But also, of course, in Division 2, 15 teams now, so everyone again gets a chance to play everyone else, so that was an endorsement.
Yes, I think that's good as well, because you're right, every team plays everyone. It's a full round competition, so that fits in with the competition window, so it's good, and there'll be the promotion relegation sort of thing available from those different divisions, so hopefully it'll all work out.
I think another focus of that review from my perspective is that clubs wanted to be able to assess their own resources and place themselves where they thought they could be competitive and have fun, and I think that's been achieved.
I think so, yes, and that's one of the big things that came out of that review, that the clubs wanted to be able to look at where they could play. They assessed their own strengths and weaknesses, and also what their club wanted to do, where they want to play, and I think that's an important part of all the competition.
One thing that we didn't introduce for 2013, but I know it's still on the table and very much a prospect for 2014, and that's the age development grade that we're hoping to reintroduce, but time beat us on that one.
I think you're right there, that in the review, one of the big things that did come out was the fact that the clubs wanted that development competition just following the Premier Comp, and we tried very hard to put that in place, but as you said, time sort of beat us, but it's still on the agenda for 2014. We really want to work through this season and try and have that competition in place for 2014.
Because the key driver there is to provide a competition for those young school leavers, and just beyond that, I know there's so many other temptations to leave the province with other, for study and whatever, but we want to keep them here, and that's one of the many ways to do so.
Correct, and that's one of the things that's come from that review, is how do we keep an attractive competition for those school levels. So it's targeting towards them and making sure that we have an avenue and a pathway for them to actually play the game.
Well, they've got SOT here, so they can get educated and they can play your rugby competitions. So lots of reasons to stay around.
Right.
Indeed. All right, let's talk about some of these appointments. I'm excited about them because you've got some professional players recently retired coming straight back into the game and supporting it. Let's start with Matt Saunders, for instance. What role will he play?
Well, Matt's come, he was a part role last year with us and a player with the Stags team. He's a former Super Rugby player, and how he comes into our rugby development role, which he heads up the development side of our high performance unit. So he is a key man to bring back into the organisation. He brings a lot of great ideas and enthusiasm, He's obviously recently finished playing, so it's great for us to bring a young guy like that into the system.
You've got guys with Mana in the club scene. Hawani McDonald, for instance, fit and healthy and giving you 100% too.
That's right, yes. Hawani's come on board as a full-time position, and he, because of his background in marketing, he shares a role with marketing and in the development, rugby development, and his focus will be working with Matt on school development and passing some information down to clubs. Our big focus in 2013 is coach the coaches.
David Hall, presentation last night about helping the front row stocks, and says it's good at the age group level, needs to work on the other levels, but define his role for us.
Well, David's a part-time role with us. We share a role with David with Southland Boys High School, and it's a really good mix. David is setting up what we call the front row factory, and he brings a huge amount of experience to the organisation in that area. And as he said last night, we've started the program. We've got a lot of good young players coming through that he's working with to develop and gain experience and learn to play in the front row. We're also targeting the senior clubs, and we've got some very, very good people around that. There's David Hall, Clark Dermody, Daryl Thompson. So we've got some really good people, and Jason Rutledge is part of that as well.
I want to mention, yeah, Jason's having an active role too, isn't he?
Yes, well, Jason is still playing, but he's also working with us as well in the development area. What we've tried to do with our development, rugby development, is get key people and good people with Mana, like Jason, who are out working with the community and with the rugby clubs and assisting the schools and the clubs in their development.
I think that's another way of keeping young people in the game, because they look up to these players, and if you get direct contact with a Jason, with a Matt, it just gets you fired up, rather than an old crusty administrator, with all due respect. I'm not saying we are,
True.
But you know what I mean. You've got that link with someone who watched it on TV last week.
That's right, and that's a big thing, and all those people we've put in place have got that link with the community, and they're very, very good people, they're quality people, and we're excited about what's going to happen this year.
Mentioned a couple of referees, Mike Marks and Kirk Munro.
Kirk Ray, yeah.
Kirk Ray, I apologise. Yeah, there's two referees mixed up in one there. I'm sure you won't mind getting mixed up. My apologies. But tell us what they'll be doing for the organisation.
Well, we've created a new position, and Mike's taken that on. That's a club liaison officer, and his role is to work directly with the clubs and assist the clubs in their administration and coaching and development. So we think that's a really important part of providing service to the clubs. Kirk's come on a part-time role as referee education officer, and he's a premier grade referee. He's well respected in the community, and he's keen to actually improve the refereeing standard and also recruit young referees. So we're really looking forward to this year, and I think there's some huge positives moving forward.
Youth and vitality you've got, haven't you, working
That's
for
right,
you?
yes.
Which is great, I think, because it's seen to be an administrative body, tends to be perhaps the older generation, they get disconnected, but you can't be accused of that.
Oh no, we can't, and we've looked at providing quality, or getting quality people to provide that, and also people that are known within Southland and have got, if you look at the people we've put in place, they're well respected within Southland, and I think that's important.
There will be a question mark. There's a number of names there. There's a budget to be kept to. How have you managed that? Because they are part-time, there's been a juggling of the funds to make it happen.
Oh, it has. We've worked to a budget. That's obviously very important. We've maintained that and kept within budget with these appointments. And I think what we've tried to do is provide more people on the ground actually doing the work, instead of people at a sort of more higher administrative level. So we want people that are hands-on, and I think that's important moving, for rugby in Southland.
And there was a lot of offers from those people we've just discussed out to the club community last night at the forum to say, look, we're here to help, and these are the different areas. So now it's really up to that community to take up those offers.
That's right. All those people had an opportunity last night, or the majority of them, to actually present to the club forum on what they're going to do. And I think that was very, very important. And now the clubs are aware of what we're doing, and it's up to them to come back to us now and take it on board.
All the best for that. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you,
And
Tom.
a final thanks to the Invercargill Licensing Trust, confirmed today they will continue their sponsorship of club rugby coverage here on QTV. More details on that in the near future. From the South Today team, good night.